Dinah and the land of Shechem. After many long journeys, Jacob and his household settled near the city of Shechem, a place of fertile fields and busy streets. His tent stood at the edge of a foreign land, where unfamiliar customs ruled and other gods were worshipped. Among Jacob's children was Dinah, his daughter by Leah, young and curious, drawn toward the lives of the women of the land. One day, Dinah went out to see the daughters of the country. She walked beyond the safety of her family's camp, into a world filled with color, laughter, and danger she did not yet understand. The act that shattered peace. Shechem, the son of Hamor, the ruler of the land, noticed Dinah. Overcome by desire, he took her and violated her. What he did was an act of violence and dishonor, a tearing apart of trust and dignity. Yet after this act, his heart strangely turned toward her. He became deeply attached to Dinah and wanted her as his wife. Shechem spoke to his father Hamor and asked him to arrange a marriage with Dinah, believing that love could somehow mend what violence had broken. Negotiations at the camp of Jacob. Hamor went to Jacob to speak of marriage. Jacob heard what had happened to his daughter, but he remained silent, waiting for his sons to return from the fields. When they came and learned the truth, anger rose within them like fire. They were deeply offended, for they believed a great wrong had been committed against their sister and their family. Hamor and Shechem approached Jacob and his sons, explaining that Shechem loved Dinah and wished to marry her. They proposed peace between the two families, even suggesting that their peoples should intermarry and share land, wealth, and future. The Day of Blood. 3 days later, when the men of the city were still weak and in pain, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, took their swords and entered the city. With ruthless precision, they killed every male. Hamor and Shechem fell among them. Dinah was taken from Shechem's house and brought back to her family. Afterward, the other sons of Jacob came upon the city like a storm. They plundered houses, seized livestock, and carried off women and children. What began as a private crime ended as a massacre, leaving Shechem silent and broken. Jacob's fear and the aftermath. Jacob confronted Simeon and Levi, speaking of fear rather than justice. He warned them that their actions would make him hated among the surrounding peoples and that his small household could be destroyed in revenge. Simeon and Levi responded by defending their actions, saying they could not allow their sister to be treated as though she were worthless. The chapter ends without reconciliation, leaving the story hanging in tension, stained by violence, silence, and unresolved guilt. Explanation and lessons. Genesis chapter 34 is one of the darkest and most disturbing stories in the book. It is not a tale of heroes and villains clearly separated, but a story of human brokenness on every side. Shechem commits a grave sin through violence and abuse of power, even though he later seeks marriage. Simeon and Levi respond with deception and excessive revenge, turning one crime into mass slaughter. Jacob, meanwhile, remains largely passive, concerned more with survival than moral clarity. The chapter teaches that violence cannot be healed by further violence. It shows how dishonor, when answered with vengeance rather than justice, multiplies suffering instead of restoring dignity. The story also reveals the danger of silence, deception, and unchecked anger. Even family loyalty, when fueled by rage, can become destructive. Ultimately, Genesis 34 reminds the reader that human attempts to control wrongdoing through power and revenge lead to chaos. It prepares the ground for later biblical teachings that justice belongs to God, not to human wrath, and that reconciliation requires truth, restraint, and moral courage rather than force alone.